Boom, watch fam.
What is up, Watch fam, and welcome to episode 127 of Ask TNH. I am Christian from Theo and Harris, and today we're going to be talking about Tom Ford and how he's apparently going to make watches. Let's do a quick wristwatch check before we get into it. I am wearing a Universal Genève Pole Router Super. This watch is just painfully good. I love the dial. I think that this dial is one of the most magnificent, like, paint splatter or sunburst or whatever you want to call it dials I've ever seen. Partly because it's wild, but it's also almost organized and restrained. It almost looks like a design by like Glasuit Original. They pull up a photo of that. Remember that dial, Anna? And that's it. Obviously, it's powered by a famous, I think the caliber 62. I could be wrong on that. Micro rotor with beautiful Côte de Genève and chamfering. This watch is head to toe a magnificent watch. Definitely for a real kind of like watch geek. Not to say that people who aren't into them aren't watch geeks, but this is just a lot of watch. So it's very interesting. I'm also wearing a TNH t-shirt because Anna, our editor, designed this shirt. It's awesome. In case you haven't noticed, this is a Genta. This is our Genta tee or our Genta sweatshirt. This is the Pole Router. This is the Royal Oak, and then this is the Nautilus. Three Gerald Genta designs that, I mean, like, how has he produced so many cool things? I mean, if he just designed one of these three, he'd be kind of famous. Maybe not so much the Pole Router, but he'd be famous. You know, we'd all know his name if he designed the Royal Oak. But it's amazing. He did three massive achievements and more. The IWC Ungenieur. I mean, there are an incredible amount of achievements from him. And a quick, huge announcement for everybody. Take out your phone. If you have an iPhone, we don't have Android yet, and go and download the Theo and Harris app. I want to make this very clear. It has no extra functionality than the Theo and Harris website. There are no games or ridiculous, community aspects that are going to take up a bunch of your time. The main function of our new app, which we are super excited about, is push notifications. We're not going to abuse you, not one a day, one a week. We're going to send you one push notification a week as soon as any new vintage watches go live on our site. So you will be the first person to know. Well, all of you will be the first people to know that the new watches have gone live. And if you don't want any, once you see them, that's your decision. But you will never have to miss out on any again. The ball's in your court. So go ahead, take out your phone, take out your iPhone, and download the Theo and Harris app. Android peeps, I promise we're coming for you soon. Anyway, today let's talk about Tom Ford. Let's do it. Okay, so last week there was an announcement, a press release, I believe, that Tom Ford is going to be making watches. He has partnered with Bedrock Manufacturing Company, the same people who own Shinola, and he's going to release a luxury, timepiece brand. So I'm not going to talk about what it is because I don't know what it is. They've released no other details. But I want to talk about what I hope it is, and I'm going to use this kind of as a platform for a second to poetically admit my love for another watch that is made by a designer that should really have no business making watches. Okay, so what do I think it should be? I think and I hope that Tom Ford reflects on his brand. And he looks at his clothing, and he looks at his suits, and he looks at his shoes, and he genuinely, from design to finish, recognizes that he can't compromise. That's my number one rule. Everything else after that, I trust him with. He gets design. I mean, I know he gets this. He was Tom Ford, for Christ's sake. So I have no doubt that he'll make a watch, but I have very little doubt that he will make a watch that fits perfectly in with his lifestyle. With the Tom Ford, dinner jackets and suits and ties. I think that his design efforts will be brilliant. But I can't say that I'm not nervous that he's going to produce kind of a shitty watch. I just am. That's just the nature of it. There are companies that have the ability to make incredible pieces that are making garbage out there right now. So for someone like Tom Ford, someone whose name carries so much damn weight, I'm nervous. I hope to see something that is powered by a Jaeger-LeCoultre or a Piaget. I would die to see something even on the independent end. I would love to see a collaboration with Laurent Ferrier. Not that will ever happen. But these are the kinds of elements that I think would make sense. Obviously, Tom Ford is big. He's, his personal style is this massive lapel, big tie. His trousers don't fit as European because they're a little bit wider. His shoes are super exotic. They're long. It's a huge vamp. I mean, a lot of exotic, materials. There's got to be a level of just kind of wow factor factor that goes into these watches. And I am hoping with every inch of my body at this moment, I probably won't think about it in 10 minutes because I'm waiting to be reminded to reflect on it when it comes out. But I'm hoping with every inch of my body that that this isn't a piece of garbage, because it very well could be. Because the temptation to produce shit is so high. Because you can make so much money. You know, the marketing effort to, you can make more money producing shit. Guaranteed. 100%. The same people are going to buy your Tom Ford watches, most likely, and you make a lot larger margin. That's it. So I'm really interested to see what he does, but I want to take a second here and now segue into another fashion designer that made a watch that he had no business making by any normal, conception, Ralph Lauren. Ralph Lauren has produced some incredible watches. My favorite, not even like close, my favorite by far is the Slim Classique. This watch was produced, I think, in 2006 or 8. It was retailed around like $15,000. It was a lot of money, but this was a masterpiece. Thin, I think 5mm case, either in white gold or in yellow gold. Guilloche throughout the dial, and even on the actual, metal case, Breguet hands. Super small, compact, and refined Roman numerals, and a beautiful, exotic leather strap. I think that this watch is one of the most magnificent watches that has come out of any manufacturer in a long, long time. That sounds like this ridiculous statement that Ralph Lauren of all people would produce that, but I genuinely stand behind that statement. I like it more than Breguet, and they stole a lot of design elements from Breguet, no doubt. I mean, they stole, or they borrowed from the same time period, or whatever they did. But obviously, Ralph Lauren has less, stake in this design than Breguet does. Breguet practically owns this kind of design, this guilloche, Breguet hands kind of thing. The hands are named after them, for God's sakes. But yet, I genuinely think that Ralph Lauren finished it better. I think that it has definitely an Art Deco, but still a modern feel to it. Whereas Breguet, and I would totally wear and own a Breguet, they just seem so much older. They seem more old man, and Ralph Lauren's watches seemed very Great Gatsby. Do you see what I'm trying to say? Breguet's watches seem like they'd be worn by someone who lived through the Great Gatsby now. And, Ralph Lauren's watches look like they actually happened, like they were being made during, 1924, East Hampton, East Egg. So that to me, it makes it so interesting. I think that it was super well refined. The movement was made by Piaget, an ultra thin movement, which really is a complication in and of itself. They didn't have an exploration case back, which I think was so true to that time period. It wouldn't make any sense. Would we have liked a sapphire case back? Sure. Of course, you get to see the beautiful movement, but that wouldn't have made as much sense. This watch to me is so true, and that's it. It's just so true, and that means a ton to me. They came in 38 and 42mm. I think that they're absolutely stunning. Now they're traded around $6,000-$7,000. Still a lot of money, but at $6,000-$7,000 to me, it's a no-brainer. I would buy it over any Jaeger-LeCoultre basically any day. That's just my personal opinion, but I think that it is an example of how not just non-watch people, anyone should be making watches. I get that that's not everyone's style in execution, because they probably spent way too much money. He doesn't have enough brand equity to probably, I don't know if they even turned a profit on these things. To me, it seemed more like a passion project than anything else. And that's beautiful. You can tell when products took real care and passion, and almost to a degree, a lack of regard for profit, and that's interesting. Obviously, these watches didn't hold their value if they sold at 15, now they're being sold at 7. Obviously not. But that doesn't mean they're not a buy. And that doesn't mean that Ralph Lauren shouldn't be proud. He shouldn't say, oh, wow, the watches, the residual value is garbage. I failed. No way. No way. Your brand may not be great for watches by any means, but no one's is. I mean, Patek takes a massive drop on residual value. So you can't really use that as a good metric of success. I think that this watch sets a glaring example for what Tom Ford should be doing. The amount of care Tom Ford should take in producing their watch, and the amount of, I think, time, care, and regard for their personal style. That is so interesting. Ralph Lauren, from dinner plates to dinner jackets, makes perfect sense. The same person that would wear a Ralph Lauren, velvet smoking jacket is going to, would happily use his dinner plates, his ashtrays, his loafers, and now his watches. And that's beautiful. And I hope that Tom Ford does the same. And if not, I will probably not regard Tom Ford as highly as I do now. I just won't. I'll probably have a lot less respect for him. Not that he gives a shit about my respect, but that's it. These are my thoughts. I wish you the best of luck, Tom, but ultimately, it definitely falls on your back. That's it. Thank you guys for watching episode 127 of Ask TNH. Don't forget to check out the watches in the watch shop at theoandharris.com and pick up a Genta sweatshirt.